Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Stranger Things, Season 1, Episode 7, The Bathtub. This was a really good episode, and I feel like this is kind of that togetherness episode that I had been talking about for, like, the last two episodes were good. Don't get me wrong, they were really good. But they didn't really have that oomph that the series first started with, where we kind of saw them all break apart. And this is that episode where not only do all of the individual groups come together, but the big overall, all of the main characters finally come together. So from the very beginning, we start to see Mike and Eleven slowly start to develop their relationship, where they almost start to kiss, but of course they get interrupted by Dustin, so big surprise there. And then, like, it's a really kind of intense scene where, like, Hawkins' power and light vans start showing up out of nowhere, and, like, Dustin's like, we need to leave now. And it's kind of a good scene where, like, the three of them, who is it? It's Dustin, Mike, and Eleven get on their bikes and start to ride away, and Eleven looks over and sees her papa, Modine, sitting there, and they just take off. I love the scene where she flips the van. And I mean, they talk about it all through this episode, and it's a really well done scene where they finally get back together with Lucas, and everybody's like, let's just go. Let's get away from these people. And the van's heading right towards them, and then Eleven just flips it right over their head. And it's great because Dustin's like, did you see that? No, I must have missed it. I don't know. I was looking at the floor. What do you think? So it was a really great scene. I really like that. And then, like I said, so this is where we start to see all of the individual groups come together, where Lucas and Eleven make peace, and Lucas and Mike make peace. And so we're finally starting to see that, like, coming together of the group. So it's the solidarity. So it's really great. Mike talks about how the factory is the Department of Energy, which I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time that plant has actually been named, where it's the Department of Energy, and it's used to make weapons to, I think they said fight the Russians, which it was like 1984, so we got the Cold War, so whatever. So besides that, so we'll move away from the boys. Jonathan and Nancy finally get together with Joyce and Hopper and basically tell them, like, hey, so we went to an alternate dimension and we were chased by this giant figure with no face, but it, like, opened up and all sorts of stuff. And so again, we're starting to see the solidarity where these groups are coming together, and it's kind of great where, like, they're like, you wouldn't believe us, and Hopper's like, try me. And so I really like that. And then, of course, the bully goes to Hopper, talking about how a girl with a shaved head, like, broke his arm, and she can do stuff. And she always hangs out with the losers, which, to me, that, like, maybe it's because the movie It just came out, but that seemed like a big losers club, like, seemed like a big shout out to me. So I don't know what you guys thought about that. Steve has... like, I don't know, I don't like Steve. Like, he just bugs the shit out of me. Where he suddenly has, like, this big personality flip, where, because he got the shit beat out of him by Jonathan, like, he's fighting with his friends, and even his friend is like, you got beat by Jonathan Byers. Like, you think, if you got beat by him, you think you could take me on? And so he's ditched by his girlfriend, he's ditched by his best friends, he just has the, like, he's all bloody and gross, and so suddenly he just, like, he's a good guy, and he wants to go, like, help clean the movie marquee off where it says, like, slut and stuff. He decides to go clean that off because he's a good guy now. And I was like, I'm not buying it. Like, I don't like him. He just bugs me at this point. Finally, like I said, we finally see the big picture of the groups come together, where we see Mike, Dustin, Lucas, Eleven, Hopper, Joyce, Jonathan, and Nancy. All 8 of those finally come together. 11 meets all of the adult figures, and it's a great scene. And they're trying to figure out how they can get 11 to meet or to contact Will and Barb. And so I love it because Dustin calls up his teacher, which I think is super interesting because his teacher's, like, watching, he's with a woman, we'll leave it at that, and they're watching The Thing. The Thing is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. And I just recently found out, because I didn't know this, like, ever since I've seen that movie, I've always really enjoyed it, but I've never really looked up, like, the history of that movie, I didn't know that movie was really unpopular when it first came out. Like, people hated that movie. So I think it's super, and it wasn't until like it came out on like video and stuff like that it became like this cult classic, and now like most people really enjoy that movie. So I think it's interesting that the teacher's watching that and the teacher's enjoying it. Like, they used melted plastic and heated up bubblegum to film this realistic scene. And I mean, John Carpenter's a great director, and like even the opening credits are like very Halloween-esque and very based on like John Carpenter's work. So I think that was a great shout out, and I really like that one. So anyways, the teacher tells them how to make a deprivation tank where it like cuts off all your senses, and they use 1,500 pounds of salt in a kiddie pool. Like, that is an insane amount of salt, but it's kind of fun because like they're stealing all of the salt from the city, and Jonathan's like, what are we gonna do if there's a snow day? Well, I guess you don't get school because there's no salt to clear the roads. So I mean, that's kind of fun. So 11 goes in this homemade deprivation tank, and the first thing she sees is Barb's body, and it's kind of great. Like, at first I didn't even recognize it as Barb. I still kind of don't. I'm just assuming it was Barb's body, and it's nasty. Like, it is a really well done shot. She goes to Castle Byers, and she sees Will, who is still alive, super pale, super not looking very good. But she tells him, like, hey, your mom is on her way. Like, just hold out a little bit longer. And Will kind of is like, oh, okay. And you can hear it through the walkie, and it's great. It's a really intense scene, and you're like, yes, you can make this scene, little boy. Like, you will survive. And then, like, finally, Will kind of wakes up, and I think this is the first time we've really seen Will, like, as a conscious character since maybe the first episode. Like, I feel like it's been a while. I mean, we've kind of saw him through the wall in that one scene, and we've heard his voice a little bit, and of course all the flashbacks. But the actual Will, I feel like we haven't seen since the first episode. I don't know, you guys can correct me. But then finally, like, again, like, Netflix is so good at those big cliffhanger scenes that force you into the next episode, where the Demogorgon finds Will and he breaks through the wall, and then boom, we go to credits. It's a great episode. It was really well done, and I'm super excited to go into the season finale. Like, this is the penultimate episode, so I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. So for those who have seen this one, what did you think about seeing all 8 of our main characters finally get together? What do you guys think about seeing Will and the Demogorgon, the deprivation tank, all of that? Go ahead, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you guys next time for the season 1 finale, The Upside Down.